There's no way to include everything, and I want my life back. So here's a stream of consciousness before I give an arbitrary score and go live in the woods.
Hey people, it's Paul Anthony Romero here.
Hey people, Sseth here. Shout out to my man, Paul Anthony Romero, the actual composer for the entire Might and Magic series. He made like 9 takes of this intro. Bless your autism. By offering cheap and affordable healthcare. I know, it makes me sick to my stomach. They even laugh maniacally. Each time I walk out, knowing full well I won't have to sell my house or my children to pay for treatment. It might look scuffed, and that's because it is. To keep it working, I ripped out the thermal sensor, which means if I flip it over, I can reliably cook eggs on the surface, asking people across the world whether the leader of a sect prefers cats or dogs, and gifting him the appropriate kind of meat. Think about it. The Titanic would have never crashed if it had no life vessels. If the passengers had no option for retreat, they'd plug the hole with their bloated carcasses and save the day, or throw a rock at someone and stone them to death. Now, nobody questions me. War crimes? Don't know any. Severed male genitalia. As long as you enchant it, you can use it. The Death Star of David. Do not talk to that fucking head. And if you can't provide their daily croissant, then guess what? They're going to turn into hardened criminals. Completely unrelated, but it also featured hardcore pornography in the first few milliseconds. Your men start taking slaves from the captured enemy captives. What do you do? Option 1, slavery bad, no slavery. Option 2, slavery good. Option 3, slavery good, but not efficient. Assign a slavery officer to oversee and optimize slavery. One of them looked like Johnny Depp. Just look at his bright smile as he murders an entire crowd of women. There's grown-ass men out there wearing Zelda t-shirts in public because they played before life got complicated and they related to a simpler time. Before mom and dad got divorced, before dad caught yellow fever and came back with a new mommy from the Philippines. You eat a pill, sit on your ass for several years, and once you're done, you go from rank 8 ping pong to rank 2 ching chong, which is still like 100 ranks below the heavenly golden dragon god emperor star ancestor. But it's okay since there are still about 3,000 chapters to go, and all the big dick characters that could kill you with a fart are currently busy. So you can go and wipe out a Ding Dong clan, which obsessively wants you dead because you courted death by destroying the King Kong clan after its young master picked a fight with you over your jade-like beauty childhood friend. You're gonna come home in a body bag. The game takes place on the fictional desert planet of Kazakhstan. If sleep deprivation kicks in, rub caffeine powder directly into your eyes. Unless I somehow invite him over on false pretenses, burn his passport, and cuff him to the work table. Hypothetically, of course. Ming Wu reincarnated as an ant, but got drowned to death by a mean child who peed on the ant nest. Then he reincarnated into a parrot, but because he learned a lot of profanities and was swearing all day, someone plucked out his feathers and he froze to death. And in his next life as a human, he met a strange acting boy, and believing him to be an immortal in disguise that could teach him cultivation, he took him in as his own. However, as it turned out, the child was actually mentally retarded. It's the experience of being a teenage girl, because you can't get the information you need directly. You have to go through the PMS chain of command to learn absolutely anything. Spirit stones are the chocolate coins of this world. You can trade them during break time for Pokemon cards, or consume them directly to restore a small amount of diabetes. Any death or injury is purely accidental. Besides, even if they do die, we can just reanimate them. No harm, no foul. They're not slaves, as per se. We don't use that word here. It's more like an internship, which never ends. A man just decapitated my best friend from over 10 kilometers away with a flying fedora. This may sound very stupid, but on the other hand, Gundo Musashi had bullets that put you to sleep, and that was a masterpiece. Eat some curry, get food poisoning. Don't worry, we'll get revenge on the ones responsible very soon. Once they catch you, they'll give you a proper introduction. Break your knees, snap your spine, and gouge your eyes out. Horrendous at the front, but holy shit, business at the back. I've heard the cliche of that's no ass, it's a dump truck, but in this case, that's no dump truck. It's an international cargo freighter. You can tell Austrians made this game because they're aliens that consider 6 p.m. as bedtime. Acquire objectively better gear. Throw it away because a real man dresses for fashion over function. Because I only have one wish to make. I wish for a nuclear winter. It's only a matter of time before some Soviet babushka alerts the authorities. I've grandmastered the merchant arts, my hustle is supreme, and you will pay me a fair price for these shoes. Due to the mental state bonus of having a gigantic penis, he is now physically immune to depression. Have you ever frozen to death during winter because the wall of your house stood up and walked away? Except this game borrows heavily from the Democratic Republic of Congo School of Conflict. In other words, you don't have a standing army as per se. Instead, you hire PMCs and mercenaries who will fight, die, and commit war crimes for a daily salary. And since they don't trust the stability of your printed, hyperinflated fiat currency, they only take payment in bars of solid gold. Or sausages and pastries and really whatever else you offer them. Honestly, they'll take anything. For 12-year-old me, this game was all about going to the wine cellar in Tatalia, killing the necromancers there, and reanimating them so I could look at their ass. Please understand, this was before we had internet. I didn't know any better, so I had to make do. It's like Plato's allegory of a cave, except in this cave, everyone's a degenerate. Literally, swallow a rebirth pill and reincarnate yourself, my man. You fucked up. I did some quick math, and I'm here to tell you, I can't afford shit, because nostalgia is a hell of a drug. When in doubt, check the pentagram. Yo, you want to be in a video game? Sweet. I'll make you a gypsy. Those are buttons to commit war crimes, and if you flick the switch, you can control the number of atrocities you'd like to commit. In this game, the commodity market is entirely monopolized. By who, do you ask? By the same people who monopolized childbirth. Storks. This is made possible thanks to Polish greed and my growing alliance with a CCP, because I like to bet on the winning team, and right now, that's Team China. Luckily, this is a fantasy game, so the sound of women is optional. One day, you're born. The next, you're a teenager that's ready to enter the labor force. The moment you join the labor force, you move in to your government-assigned flat and get married to your government-assigned girlfriend. The day after that, you give birth to another 2 kids and repeat the cycle. A bigger question, I guess, is if I get decapitated by a dragon while adventuring, fly back home without a head, and use Yang God possession to transfer my consciousness into the body of another man's wife, would that make me a homosexual? Some questions have no clear answer. We do it to flex on the poor. Imagine getting shot dead in a street, an experience that many Americans can relate to. But as the bullet approaches, you can briefly become invisible. This amazing ability allows you to sneak away from the approaching bullet. In this game, there's no income tax, but there is tax on inheritance, and you pay that each time you die. How much exactly? 100%. Afterwards, there's a lot of burning debris and human bodies that you have to mop up before we can properly land. This game contains a highly realistic depiction of academic research. Bachelor students are highly affordable, yet highly incompetent. Ironically, the faster they work, the faster I'm gonna fire them. Listen, you don't know how tough you got it until you're looking at a fish and you're thinking to yourself, damn, that's a pretty good-looking fish. The slightest puncture in its crusty, and you'll devour the whole thing. Originally, this game produced a lot of controversy after a Might and Magic player smacked dead a Hindu, believing he was a follower of Ba. Hard to believe, but true. And if you let me edit, the only way out of it is to bribe the church. If you're worried about epilepsy, just know that modern copies of the game have been sanitized for your delicate eyes. Have you ever gone to an auction where you can't even see what's being sold, but instead are given a vague description? Hard, lumpy. A man's hand shoots up. I'll take it for 10,000. Not to be outdone, I raise his offer. I'll take it for 12,000. Another joins in. 13. Another raises. 14. The rest fold because they're poor as fuck. Those who remain keep raising. Eventually, there's only 2 of us. One final raise. 56,000. I won the bid, but I don't have 56,000. But they don't know that. The auction ends. It's time to pay. I can't pay. I am under arrest, but I'm not, because I am a mannequin made of straw. As a rule, I only answer bad prayers. Drought, bandits, famine, refuse. Don't waste my time. You wish that tomorrow your favorite brothel prostitute hasn't been taken? Granted. You want your boss to step in dog shit? Granted. You want the guy who stole from you to be struck by lightning? My pleasure. You want those annoying neighbors next door to die in horrific agony? Me too. You want someone to celebrate your birthday with you this year? Granted. Do you need to know anything else? No. Is there long-term health consequences to flying a ship that knocks out the pilot each time I make a turn? Yeah, probably. Much like jumping down a flight of stairs without legs, your refrigerator could probably run this game. Twice. We don't use numbers in our game titles. Numbers are for confusing the taxpayer. Your word of the day, skeuomorphism. The state is directly responsible if you become a fisherman or you end up shooting meth into your arms. Without contraceptives and reproductive policy, the only means of population control is to arrest everyone. I hope you've enjoyed my TED Talk on why we should reinstate capital punishment. The most beautiful phrase in the Russian language is «Дай мне твои деньги». Пожалуйста. Luckily, they're completely retarded, and I don't have a lot of time, but I do have a lot of expendable, replaceable human beings. You know what they say? You can't cook an omelet without breaking health and safety. Commit violence against everyone equally without discrimination. The death of one is a tragedy, but the death of millions is a good start. I need you to investigate an organization for evidence of corruption. How do we do that? We break in, we murder everyone. If I horrifically mutilate someone's dying body to extract the location of their friends and family, that's slightly evil. But as long as you give them a proper burial, that's a net neutral action. And we have done nothing wrong. Men don't even have an emotion tracker. That's how secondary our role is in society. We only live, get ripped, and die. Wild animals don't even attack us, because that requires us to have the capacity to feel upset about such an event. In fact, men only have two moods. One, pick berries, and two, look for wife. But I digress. So, you could say, it's not going too well. Let me explain, white boy. Child labor. Is it really labor if we don't pay? Because we're gonna need a lot of manpower for our Chinese sweatshops. The windmill of friendship. Compare the size and complexity of the average Might and Magic 6 dungeon to the average cave in Skyrim. No comparison. Wrong answer. Debate feng shui. Correct answer. Beat them with a club. It's sort of like God's punishment for being a furry. Then you're gonna make a literal piece of shit become a demigod and ascend to heaven. Yeah, there's a pill for that. Obesity? No problem. Not obese enough? I gotcha. I hate it. It's like the opium wars, except in this case, the Chinese are winning. Because, as a good friend once told me, smoking meth is for the rich. We're not rich. We're middle class. Becoming female in this game results in the loss of your penis. Now that all the epileptics are either dead or convulsing, let's have a pleasant time. You can even make money off this by regrowing your penis, which will, upon realizing that you're not meant to have one, detach immediately. In other words, fuck your opposable thumbs. I got vertebrae fused to my carapace. Each time you harvest a crop of penis, you become the dick farmer. There's really one challenge left: genociding every other sect and beating them into submission. Because we're the good guys. God is with us on this campaign. Disclaimer: if you don't want to see hardcore pixelated gore of cannibalized women, don't go to Bootleg Bay. Conversely, if you're into that stuff, go to Bootleg Bay. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna put myself in a coma for 3 days, confirming the belief that the only people who consume energy drinks are teenagers and bugmen. Why not? Give them some opium. Violence solves everything. In this game, we shoot first and justify it later. Nuke the entire map and kill everyone in town. So I had to bring in the expert, resident merchant, aficionado of Ben 10 porn, and mentioned on several no-fly listings across Thailand.
Hello, my nigga.
You take your diazepam, stare at the drywall for 10 minutes, and return to the PC. From a little baby larva to a teenager to an unemployed crackhead because I forgot to send them to schools. Coming in 2023. Bug Snacks 2. Or you can physically steal it by cutting the fiberglass cables outside your house and intercepting the individual packets of light. Is it wrong to watch a dying man's ass fertilize my fields? No, not at all. The cock and ball accelerator, which generates torque directly from the phallus. Misery is an essential component of stability. They know how to treat their elvish compatriots because they've got one in the fucking chandelier. Mainly, I just rant about how much I fucking hate the poor and how much money we're gonna make after we after we shove the gun barrel of democracy down the collective throats of a current government. My impassioned speech is often very convincing. We're gonna recruit mortals from every city. They will arrive, pray to Hellgate, and freeze to death in horrific agony. And the negative moral consequence of such an action 0. There's shit out there that turns you to stone, gives you autism, causes schizophrenia, induces narcolepsy, goblinization, smallpox, death, and eradication. Do you know the difference between death and eradication? With death, you still got a body to revive. With eradication, there is not a single atom left of your body. Good luck medicating a lack of existence. In summary, I hope one day we will reach universal suffrage, where the voices and opinions of men will be held equal to women. Until then, all we can do is spend our days driving around in John Deere tractors and bodybuild forever. In conclusion, I give this mod and all the games merged inside it a childhood out of 10. I'm extremely biased, and I know it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a grill to get back to.